Good morning. I'm Bobby McCutcheon from the Williamsburg County Library. And this is a very special day for our library because we are the guests of the Black River Cypress Preserve. And we'll learn what those words mean in just a minute. But today we happen on this group of folks here. And they're so important to preservation of these wonderful places in South Carolina that we had to have them introduced first thing before we go on our adventure. So Miss Pate, Erin Pate, is going to introduce these folks to us.
Well, sure. Hi, kids. Again, my name's Erin, and I'm here with some folks who care a whole lot about nature and have been working in nature and love nature. And let me start with Dana Beach, who founded the Coastal Conservation League some 30 years ago and has worked tirelessly across the coast of South Carolina to save important land. And to my left is Tom Mulliken, who was appointed by the governor, Governor McMaster, to serve as chair of the South Carolina Floodwater Commission. And as such, he has traveled the state and is working with communities to address flooding issues and get to know communities that are suffering in that way. And then Jonathan Kaiser, who works here at the Cypress Preserve on the edge of Williamsburg and Georgetown County to manage this beautiful park that is going to be open to the public sometimes and to groups all the time.
I should say that Erin Pate is going to be our tour guide today. These other fellows have something else to do, from what I understand. So she's going to take us down to the water in just a minute. So we'll say goodbye for now.
Bye.
Hello again, this is Bobby McCutcheon here with Erin Pate, and we're still, luckily, at the Black River Cypress Preserve. I should mention that the person doing the video for us today is Kimberly Matthews, our Children's Services person for the whole Williamsburg County Library system, and the person doing stills for us today is Buddy McCutcheon, library friend. Now, we learned a bit a few minutes ago from some people who were with Erin, guests here at the preserve, but right now we're going to talk about where we are and why we're here. Now, Erin's going to tell us what a cypress is and what a preserve is, and where we're standing, what this water is behind us, and the special things we can see here. And I'll ask questions as we go along. I should say we've come prepared to look at birds. We have our binoculars. I often take a book with me because I don't know all the birds, so I'll have this with me. Other people have their phones, so they can do it that way. Do you hear all the birds here, the chickadees? And I've heard a woodpecker. There's a pileated back in here. But let's listen to Erin first and tell us what a preserve is and what cypress is.
Okay, well, thank you, Bobby. We are at the Black River Cypress Preserve. A cypress is a bald cypress tree. It grows naturally along the Black River in Williamsburg and Georgetown counties. It grows in swampy, wet areas, and it is a beautiful, majestic tree. In fact, on the Black River Cypress Preserve, we have a tree that we know is 1,000 years old.
Is it big?
It is so big, it would take about 4 people putting their arms together to get your arms around the tree.
Wow.
Yeah. What a preserve is, it's kind of like a park. Some of you may have been to a park. It's outdoors. There are trails you can walk on. There's trails you can bike on. You can just get outside and see all kinds of interesting things. So here at the Black River Cypress Preserve, you can see lots of trees, including the cypress tree, and you can get out on trails and enjoy nature.
Now, this piece of water right here, is this Black River?
This is the Black River. It is a state scenic river. It starts in South Carolina and ends in South Carolina. It starts in Lee County. It goes through Clarendon, Sumter, Williamsburg and Georgetown counties, all the way to the ocean in Georgetown County.
And in the old days, like 1700s, you could take a boat, an old sailing boat, all the way up here to P Landing, maybe further. You could go further up the river at
You
that
could.
time.
In fact,
Hmm.
very close to where we're standing now, about 250 years ago, there was a ferry that ran across the river because back then you didn't have roads that crossed the river. You had to take a ferry across the river, and it was called the Potato Ferry.
That's right.
The Potato Ferry. And it took people from Georgetown County across Black River to Williamsburg County or then back. And it was a river just like it is this river, just upriver just a bit.
Now, we usually do these programs in Williamsburg County, and we've talked to interesting people and go interesting places. Now, are we across the road from Williamsburg County? Are we now in Georgetown County?
We are in Georgetown County, just by a little
right.
bit.
So we stepped across the road, and now we're in Georgetown
That's
County.
right.
Now, this is a 1,000-acre property. Is that correct?
It is. That's correct.
And it's privately owned.
It is.
But the owner has decided to educate people and give people access to this beautiful property. And as I understand, we have uplands and we have lowlands here. The plants are identified, many of them. These little markers like pickerel weed right here. Botanists have put little signs so you can see where the pickerel weed is. Right now this is fall, so we might not be seeing the pickerel weed with its beautiful purple blossoms, but later on we can see that. These, Aaron was just talking about while we rode here. This is a cypress knee. And tell me what you just said about those. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so cypress knees they look like little stumps coming out of the ground, and they grow all around a forest of cypress trees. And what they are, they're part of the root system that actually come out of the ground and help give the trees around stability if the wind is blowing too hard. They give them stability to stay there for decades and centuries to come. But what's most interesting is that cypress knees connect all the cypress trees that are around. In other words, it's almost like a neighborhood of trees that are connected together. They're unified. They work together to keep themselves alive and to keep themselves stable. Very cool. Very cool.
Everybody should know that this property has a website, has a Facebook page, so you can log on and learn about
That's
a lot
right.
about it. Now, they have done surveys of the plants and animals here and often have programs here. And as you can see, this little piece of water coming off Black River goes to a landing right there. And the people here take trips out into the water on kayaks. You can imagine how much you would learn and see that you don't have at home in this preserve. We need to talk about why you would preserve something like this and why it's important to people to learn about things like this beautiful leaf, why we would want to know about that, why we would want to know that that's a chickadee over there, why we would want to know the difference between a lowland and a highland, and how we might appreciate that, even if we're a little one, that you appreciate what's outside.
There's so much to learn about nature. You just have to take time to get out. It is so fun and so full of life. And it's important to understand it because it is our environment. And just like Bobby said, learning about, what kind of tree you're looking at or what kind of animal you're looking at or what kind of bird you're hearing. Why is that important? Well, the more you know, the more you love it. And the more you love something, the more you're willing to protect it. And that's important to making sure that our environment looks just the same now as it will when your kids or your grandkids come along. We want to save it for them, for the future. And that is just so important. There's so much to learn. And here at the Cypress Preserve, we want to offer opportunities for you kids and your families to come out and hike and bike and just get outside and enjoy nature, have a picnic and have some gatherings. So we hope that you'll come out soon.
Now, you can say that these are weeds, right? And
Yes.
this is kind of a scary swamp that you would
Right.
not want to go in there because something really creepy might be in there that would hurt you, right?
Right.
But if you learn about it, you will find all these little weeds are actually plants that are important to the
That's
environment.
right.
And they change if you move from here where the water and creepy stuff is up this hill, you will find immediately different plants and different
That's
trees
right.
and different animals and different butterflies and different birds than you would here. And they are your friends. They're part of the natural world, just like you are. And you need to learn about them. They'll be a comfort to you when you know them.
Exactly.
So tell me, should I be really scared to go out in a boat? Or would I find something that would hurt me?
Well, I would ask Kimberly to maybe to show this area where we have cypress knees, and this is kind of a swampy area. And just telling my own personal story, I used to look at a swamp and think, that might be a scary place. I don't want to go there. But over time, I've learned that that is actually a special place that is teeming with beautiful plant life and amphibians like frogs and lizards and things that you may want to observe. They are important to our natural world, like Bobby said, to learning about what's around, and it's not as scary as you may have heard. So take a chance, investigate, and be an adventurer. Get outside of your house and explore, even in your own yard, to find out what's there.
Be an observer. And you know, you can look at things and write it down. And if you look
Yeah.
at things and write it down, then you're more appreciative.
That's right.
If you can't spell, ask your adult how to do that. They'll do it for you, probably. And you can draw it, all this beautiful green and yellow and blue, purple, all these colors here, you can draw them in.
That's right.
It would be very nice to have a picture of this. Look at this. This is one of the most pretty things in the swamp. Can you see the moss? There's some right in front of Kimberly. Let's look at this moss. What is that?
That is Spanish moss.
What does it do?
So it actually grows, it feeds off of the trees. It's not damaging to trees, but it actually lives on trees. And what its purpose is, I'm not really sure,
I'm not either.
other than looking pretty.
It looks pretty.
It does look pretty.
Is it called an epiphyte? Is this an epiphyte? And other things can live in it, like spiders, all kinds of other things. And some birds will use this in their nest material.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Mhm.
I sure have.
Yep. And we don't really want to get under that, probably, in our hair. Have you ever been out here at night?
I have. And
Was it spooky?
you know what? It gets very, very dark. There's not many
Mhm.
lights out here.
Mhm.
So, what I've heard out here are owls.
Ooh.
Yes, lots of owls.
Do you know what they were?
I think they were barred
Mhm,
owls,
mhm.
and every now and then we'll get a great horned owl.
Yes. And the barred have bars across their tummy. That's why they're called a barred owl. And the great horned owl is bigger and has ears, so he's called a great horned.
I love owls. I
Mhm.
think they're so cool. They
Yes.
fly at night. They're birds of prey, so they're looking for their dinner when they're flying. They're very silent when they fly, so you don't often hear them.
In fact, their feathers are structured to be silent.
Yes.
Yeah, very different.
They're good hunters, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful birds. They
Mhm.
really are.
What else do you hear at night?
You hear a lot of crickets.
Do you have frogs?
We
like
hear a
tree
lot of frogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's really fun to go outside and try to identify the sounds that you're hearing, right? And just
Yes.
be really still and try to name, what am I hearing? And just sort of note what you're hearing outdoors.
Even now, we don't hear any vehicles.
Yeah,
we did
that's
hear
right.
a plane in the distance, but we didn't hear any trucks or sounds that we would have in the city. All we hear is the rustling of the leaves, a little bit of the water, and we can hear the wildlife
Yeah.
behind us, the birds.
It's calming, isn't it?
It is, but there's so much to learn. We don't know what any of these things are. We need to come out and learn
That's
about
right.
them. I can't thank you enough for letting us come and visit you.
Sure.
This is just fabulous. And Miss Erin, you will see a lot when you come here because she assists groups coming here
Yeah.
and orients them to the property like she's done when she's been our hostess today. So thank you so
You're
very much for
welcome.
having us. This is
Absolutely.
very special for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, and we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you soon. You can look at this video on the Williamsburg County Library YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. Please do.
Good afternoon. I'm Kimberly Matthews, Children's Librarian at the Williamsburg County Library, and we would like to thank everyone at Black River Cypress Preserve and our host, Miss Erin Pate, for giving us the tour of the preserve. We truly enjoyed ourselves. In case you are interested, the Black River Cypress Preserve is located at 16368 County Line Road in Andrews, South Carolina. Thank you once again. Bye-bye.